another Married at First Sight New Zealand Season 3 recap. This is episode 10. I'm Mama C. Well, last time we saw the couples go on couples dates. The experts questioned Vicky about her look of sadness that she couldn't quite figure out. There was still no spark with Rose and Chris. Jimmy and Carmen were still ticking along. Anna spilled the beans about her sex tape and the photos, and Jono had his final straw with Ray. Alright, well, tonight, is this going to be for real? I mean, the end with the lads for real? Please? Anyway, two groups are going to meet up for chat, and it's going to get heated, so we might as well get on to it, right? Well, Ray had planned to take Jono whitewater rafting for a date today, but Ray was crashed on the couch, as we remember from his boozy night out. Reminder again, Jono said that a man had woken him up at 4:30 in the morning, told him that Ray had hooked up with multiple guys while he was out. This was after Jono had left at midnight to go home. He says to Ray to politely get the F out. Ray starts to say Jono is making shit up. Jono wants him out. He put all of Ray's stuff out in the hall. Ray thinks that's just funny as, and he walks out, goes to Rose's place, then takes his stuff from the hall, puts it back in the apartment, and he's like refusing. He's like, I'm not leaving. But anyway, then he goes back to Rose's place. So at this point, my husband goes, he's still drunk. And I'm like, yeah, he could be, yeah. So Ray says the guy was joking about Ray hooking up, and why shouldn't he go out and party every night if he doesn't have to go to work and blah, blah, blah. Ray says Jono brings it on himself. Not sure how that was supposed to mean, but I don't know. But it seems just, Ray just gets always defensive about everything. So at this point, I start to tune out, you know. But anyway, later, Ray moves into a new apartment by himself, and now he seems like he's sober and clear, and he says they haven't had a chance to have a conversation. Jono tells Vicky about the incident, and the couple's saying get ready for the boys and girls nights. People speculate about the night. Carmen says Ray and Jimmy together are like the devil sitting on each other's shoulders. Rose says she and Chris had a lovely evening the night before, and they both look forward to their evenings. Ray's expecting to be grilled. He thinks it's been blown out of proportion, you know, because he's always got an excuse, right? Jono is looking forward to talking with the girls. He says if anyone takes Ray's side in this, he'll be surprised. Vicky thinks she and Stefan have taken a step forward in the relationship, and everyone is discussing the taking of sides with the lads. Oh, and just a quick aside here, if anybody hasn't seen the new LNP ad with the zombies, I had a good laugh about that. I thought that was pretty funny, actually. So if you get a chance, you should look that up. Anyway, back to the show. Jordan says the boys are probably just going to have a few beers. Jimmy says they should get stuck in, which means he likes to have a good party night. Chris says not to alcohol. He says it seems to always be around and it's getting quite tiresome. Jimmy notes that Ray isn't wearing his ring and asks what is what. He says, you know, then Ray goes on about, oh, I got drunk, you know, etc., etc. Jordan gets why Jono would be upset, because he says if Anna had gone out and came home blind drunk, you know, he would be upset for sure. And then Jono says that he asked the guy if he was a good friend of Ray's, the guy who brought him home. And the guy said, not really. And the guy said to him, is he your husband? Well, he's been in a gay bar on K Road being naughty. And then Jimmy says, now you swear you didn't hook up with any other dudes? And Ray swears, you know, that he says no. Oh, it's just a joke. It's just a joke. Well, Jono admits, you know, he says he got a bit Beyonce lemonade, and he packed up the guys, got to Ray stuff and told him to, you know, leave. And Jono says that Ray just basically laughed at him and thinks it's a joke. Ray thinks Jono needs to apologize to him. Because, you know, he can't take a joke. So, you know, that aside, you know, because why wouldn't he go out and get drunk, right? I mean, really, why not? Alright, so, yes. But again, I said Jordan understood, because he said he would be upset if like Carmen had gone out, came home blind drunk, and somebody brought her home, etc. Carmen asks if he confronted Ray. He says yes, but Ray made a joke of it, and Rose and Carmen say, they see potential for the two of them, so they hope they can work it out, but John, of course, he seems doubtful. Back to the boys, they're doing tequila shots. Yeah, so Chris asks Ray about why the confrontation at the dinner party. Ray says he thinks Chris is playing a game and asks about why he wrote leave, and did Rose know? Chris says no, she didn't know. And Ray says, why didn't you tell Rose before? Chris tells us that really isn't any of their business. Jimmy accuses Chris of rehearsing his answers. Chris says, I just think before I speak. He tries to be diplomatic, but Jimmy seems put off and accuses him of trying to be too PC. Ray, of course, looks smug. Jordan doesn't seem impressed with people coming on so hard at all. Stefan says nary a word throughout all this. He's just sitting there, not saying a word. But I suppose, what are you going to do? I suppose he felt kind of stuck, because, yeah. So I kind of felt bad for him, actually. Oh, so, Jordan, he just doesn't seem impressed by this whole thing, and he says that Ray should actually apologize to Chris for the way he came at him. And then Stefan does admit that he says the apology was half-assed. And Chris just thinks Jimmy wants to get a rise out of him, and just Ray continues to be snarky. Jono says he feels like Ray has never returned any of his kindness. Rose says there's no sides. Vicky is supportive. Carmen says they should talk through it all. Jono tries to say how it has been. Carmen says I'm not defending him. Vicky jumps in and says you kind of are. Carmen says I'm just saying, why can't you open up and talk? And now to me, she isn't really defending Ray. She just said they needed to talk. Anyway, Anna agrees that she knew Carmen wasn't defending the behavior. They bond a bit. Jimmy then grills Chris on things with Rose. Stefan asks if he thinks Rose would stay regardless. Chris says yes, because she's enjoying herself. Ray tells us that they've been told that Chris and Rose have had sex, which personally I thought that really wasn't his place to say that, because he was being disrespectful to Rose by that, because that wasn't his place to say. But he obviously wanted to take the focus off of himself. That's my opinion. So Carmen then says to us that she wants to talk to Rose privately about things that she says Chris has said about her. So according to Jimmy, this is, by the way, because she receives a text from Jimmy that Chris said about Rose saying stay regardless, but somehow Carmen or Jimmy added that he said because Rose wanted to be famous. Now this is not what he said at all. But it's like that whispers game, or either that, or it just, Jimmy added it and Carmen then repeated it, or vice versa. I don't know what it was, but, so of course now Rose is going to be upset, and then she does admit, she says, she thinks that Chris's ego is a bit hurt because she doesn't want to have sex, and she admits that they were intimate in Fiji, but it didn't feel right, so she hasn't wanted to again. And it was sucked, because Rose then starts to cry, and so you're feeling bad for her, especially because what was said wasn't exactly true. And then it made things worse, because then the girls are all saying, oh, Rose, and they're all sorry and everything, and now this makes Jono upset, because he's like, I just told you guys that Ray cheated on me, and then you act like we're supposed to talk about it, but all of a sudden, Rose says this, and you all just oh, you're there to support her and all this, and he was upset because he felt that he wasn't getting enough support. So that's how he felt about that. So back, Jimmy and Ray just continue to bash Chris. Chris and Jordan have a private chat. Chris says it isn't his job to sort out Ray's life, and fair enough, it isn't. Jimmy and Ray continue bashing Chris. So over it. Jordan and Chris talk about him writing leave next time, and he says if things haven't changed and, you know, there's still no way to progress, that, yeah, that's probably what's going to happen. So, you know, fair enough. And Jordan understands because he said, well, you know, she has compared you to be like being with her father and things like that. So, you know, he's like, doesn't really look like there's much way to go from there. So, yeah. Carmen says to Jono that she isn't defending Ray. Jono says he hasn't been cheated on before. And then Carmen says, well, that's the difference between you and me, which I'm not really sure what she meant by that, because maybe she's become blasé about it. I don't understand where she was coming from there. Anyway, Jono says that she has clearly picked a side. She starts to cry, that he would think that. He keeps saying he wants support. She says his vision in his head is different to Ray's. And he gets mad because then he says, like, are you accusing me of lying, you know? Because, you know, you're saying my version in my head. And he keeps saying that she's defending Ray. But honestly, all she said is that she thinks they should talk. But he gets really mad about it, and you know, he isn't getting the amount of support that he requires. So, yeah, it was just, my gosh, stressful, very stressful. So anyway, that pretty much wraps up tonight's episode. Next time, we're going to, of course, have the aftermath of this whole boys and girls nights thing. And Jimmy's going to be mad because I think he's not going to be happy about the fact that Carmen cried. And yeah, it's just probably not going to be good at all. But if we can make it through it, we'll do it all again. So until next time, have a great one, everybody, and we'll see you tomorrow night for another episode of Married at First Sight New Zealand Season 3 Recaps. I'm Mama C.